This is what you get when you click validate. So I'm going to show you how to go from this to this with the validated here and with the barcode at the end. All right, let's get started. Here you enter your UCI. If you don't have one, you could leave the field blank, but usually if you're filling out this form means you're already in Canada and you already had a visa, so you want to enter your UCI. Okay, I want service in English, and this is where it starts getting tricky right off the start. I am applying for one or more of the following. So basically you have to answer either this one or this one. If you are applying for a work permit with the same employer, then you check this. If you have lost your status and also applying for a work permit with the same employer, you're going to check these two boxes. If you're applying for a work permit for the first time, for example, a postgraduate work permit or an open work permit, if you're in a company in SPAS, you're going to click here. Or if you're applying for a work permit for a new employer, you're also going to click here. In our case, we want to change the status, so it's going to be one of these two. You can't put both at the same time, otherwise you're going to get this error message. So we're going to say we want a work permit for the first time or with a new employer. Here you enter your personal details. If you're in Canada under a visa, you're going to be selecting between one of those three. If you have made a refugee claim, there's going to be refugee claimant or protected person, if that's the case. Or if you're a foreign national without a status in Canada, then you're going to select foreign national. But for most people, it's going to be one of those three. In our case, it's a student that just graduated, so we're going to click student and we want an open postgraduate work permit. And here you have to enter the date. This is an example of a student permit, and you can see that we have the date issued and the expiration date, and this is what we are going to use in our application. Okay, now to answer this question, just ask yourself this. Have you lived in other country other than your country of residence, which is currently Canada, and your country of citizenship? If yes, you check here, yes, and you answer the question. You got to enter the country here, you got to enter the status here that you had in that country and the dates, and all this should be available on your passport. If you didn't, you just select no and it's going to gray out all this area. Okay, let's keep moving. Your marital status, that's single for our case, and then we continue. Have you previously been married? No. If you answer yes, you're going to need to enter the family name of your previous spouse, their given name, the type of relationship, whether it's common law or married. Just know that common law is you are living together under the same roof for at least 1 year. For our candidate, it's not the case, so we're going to click no. And here you enter your passport, national identity, whether or not you have a US permanent resident card, and your contact information. And in this section, you're going to enter your contact information in Canada. It's very important because they're going to send you your work permit by mail. So make sure you enter the proper mailing address. In this section, you need to fill the details when you entered Canada the first time, and that information is available on your passport, your work permit, or your study permit, or your visitor visa. Here you have to choose the original purpose for coming to Canada. You have business if you're a businessman conducting affairs. You have tourism if you're just coming to visit. Study if you came to study with the study permit. Work if you came with a work permit. Family visit if you have relatives in Canada that you are visiting, or others. This is, for example, if you're a refugee claimant or a person in need of protection. In this case, we're going to select study, and you see here date and place of your most recent entry to Canada, if not the same as original entry. So if you left Canada and came back within the same permit, then you're going to enter the date here. We're going to assume we did not. And here, if applicable, provide the document number of the most recent visitor record, study permit, work permit, or temporary resident permit issued to you. The document number of your study or work permit is located at the top right corner, and this is it. This one here, not the first one, is the one that has one letter followed by 9 digits. This is what you want to enter as the document number. Okay? And now we approach the details of intended work in Canada. What type of work permit are you applying for? Here you have all the possible work permit types. Co-op is if you're doing a co-op program with the university and the company. Exemption from the labor market impact assessment is if you are working in a profession that is LMIA exempt, and your employer will tell you about that. Labor market impact assessment stream. This is if you have a positive LMIA. Live-in caregiver program if you are a caregiver. Open work permit is mainly for accompanying spouse or people who are sponsoring their spouse. Open work permit is mainly for accompanying spouse. Open work permit for vulnerable workers means people who have been abused by their employer and they want to change their status to an open work permit to go work elsewhere. Others is none of these cases, and post-graduation work permit is the one we're going to apply for here. Because we chose post-graduation work permit, we don't need to fill in this information. We just don't know. So we can enter non-applicable. Because we're applying for a post-graduation work permit, an open work permit, we do not know the name of our employer. We need the work permit to work. So at this time, we're just going to enter unknown. And because this is a mandatory field, we have to write something. So we're going to enter unknown at the time of application as well. Intended location of employment here, it's going to be the same. Let's just make it simple and validate the form. We're going to say it's Mississauga. In this field, you enter your ideal job position. You don't have to describe it. Just say what you'll be doing briefly and make sure you enter something so it validates this field because you have the little star here. Duration of expected employment, this you don't have to fill because you don't know yet. And the question 8, have you been issued a certificate under provincial nominee program? You can say no here if you are not doing a PNP. Okay, here we come to the education. Have you had any post-secondary education, including university, college, or apprenticeship training? We're going to say yes, and you need to fill out the information about your degree. So we're going to enter something generic just to validate this form and move on. Here you have to enter your employment history. Give details of your employment for the past 10 years. So if you didn't work, you still have to fill out this table. Now we touch the final part, which is background information, and this relates to the admissibility questions, so medical and criminal admissibility. If you say yes, you have to describe, as it's written here, provide details and the name of the family member if applicable, but basically if you say yes to any of those questions, you need to enter the event, the date, the place, and the person being involved. We're going to say no because it's not the case, and most people are going to answer no here. So just make sure to check all the boxes, and at the end we're going to come and validate the form. So I recommend you say yes, just as they want to send you additional promotional material. And here we're going to sign. So just enter your name and the date of which the form is completed. Okay, and when you finish, if we did this properly and we click validate now, it's going to generate a barcode and it's going to fill this part here with the little yes. So that's what we want to do. Let's check it out. And you see this message, validation completed successfully. And this is what you get. Now we're going to have the barcodes, and this barcode is going to be used by IRCC to process this information and to collect everything that was put in the form.